To all who download this happy podcast, welcome inside another door of the Advent Calendar House. A salute to all holiday specials, but mostly the Christmas ones. Today we're talking about the 1978 TV special taped right up the road from here at the most magical place on earth. It's Christmas at Walt Disney World. I'm empty nesting woodcutter who for some reason found a ferret, Mike Westfall, and joining me are a pair of robots with just enough sentience to desire a vacation. It's my friends from the archive, John Dedeke and Drew Crowley. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
Although, for those robots, we can't speak.
That's true. We have to just kind of gesture awkwardly.
Yeah.
With, like, very precise articulation.
And our eyes wide open.
Yes.
And never blinking.
Drew, stick your thumb in my mouth, and I'll stick my thumb in your mouth.
They're not robots, though. Those are babies.
They could be robot babies. I don't know. They gave no backstory. But we'll get to that later. So this was your pick, John, and I admit I had never seen or heard of this before.
That's the greatest thing I could ever possibly imagine. As a context for absorbing this special.
Yeah.
When did you first discover this?
So I first came about this, I guess it was probably around like 2002, 2003, when I was like straight out of college, working a job that was not fulfilling in any regard and had like absolutely no life. But every night, on the Disney Channel, Walt Disney would air at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And at the time, I didn't, the TV guide or the little guide channel on the cable system wouldn't tell me what the topic was. So literally for about a year and a half, I would set the VCR to record Walt Disney, which was just a random grab bag of old Disney TV specials that would air nightly on the Disney Channel. And so it wasn't always park related stuff. It was episodes of Davy Crockett or Man in Space. They had like 30 years of television specials, weekly television shows to pull from. So you never knew what was going to show up. But I would set the VCR to record every night, hoping that it would be some old vintage Disney park special that I hadn't seen before, or one that I had seen before and just hadn't ever recorded. Because at the time you couldn't get any of those things on DVD or VHS or anything. There was no way to access them. And
there was no YouTube.
There was no YouTube. Yeah.
Just a few years away from that.
Fortunately, I happened to, and most of the time it was like Davy Crockett or something I didn't want to watch.
Yeah.
So I would just, rewind the tape back to the beginning and start, reschedule it. But every once in a while I would hit gold. And this was by far the largest chunk of gold.
The biggest vein.
I could have ever, hoped to tap. Because it hit every possible note. It was absurd. It was set in the park in a time that was sort of familiar to me, but not exactly familiar. It really worked in the way a Christmas special is supposed to work, even though I probably found it in the middle of July or something, when it was aired inexplicably in the middle of the summer, just because that's the way that their scheduling worked out. But it absolutely warmed my heart. I felt so replenished and invigorated by discovering this special. And to this day, I think it has become my favorite certainly Disney holiday special, if not Disney TV special overall.
Wow. It holds up in its own special, magical way that nothing else can possibly hold up. But let's give it a little background here. The special aired December 10th, 1978 on NBC. This is like over a decade before Disney bought ABC and 4 years before Epcot even opened. So what was Walt Disney World at the time was just Magic Kingdom, resorts, and the monorail loop. Fort Wilderness, Walt Disney World Village, which is now Disney Springs, where that is. The now abandoned Discovery Island out on Bay Lake, which makes an appearance here.
That's right.
And rest in pieces, River Country.
Yes.
I miss River Country. It was like a safe action park.
It was like it's hard to imagine that Disney would create anything quite as freewheeling as River Country today, or even
absolutely.
Discovery Island for that matter. There was really no structure around your experience at Discovery Island, which is part of the reason why it holds such a place in my heart, especially from this special. So much of Walt Disney World that's depicted in this special is really, it might still be there, but it's certainly no longer a focal point of the Disney World experience. So to see it have such prominence in such a ridiculous way in this special is just, I'm literally filled with joy every time I see it. Yeah, I'm actually bursting right now.
You are.
It kind of, I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff where it's like, it's a nostalgia of something that I've gone to River Country, I've gone to Discovery Island, but it's a nostalgia for all that other stuff you see, like the sailing on the Seven Seas Lagoon there.
Yeah. Throughout the 70s, that was their big push.
Oh,
they wanted to be, yes, they have a theme park. The East Coast is the end-all, be-all of vacationing, whatever that means to people who can afford to go on a vacation in the 70s.
Yeah.
So that means sailing and having cookouts and riding a train.
Yes.
Weirdly. It's weird, like ludicrous experience that could only be Disney World. And it's part of what I think really separates Disney World from Disneyland, and certainly what did at the time.
It's still a little bit today, but no, the focal point is very much on the parks now, and not so much the resorts anymore, and I kind of miss that. Me not having my annual pass down here anymore. I spend a lot of time hopping from resort to resort every once in a while when I go, just because that stuff's that's just there. The world is for your taking.
Yeah.
So
I did that.
It's an experience unto itself too,
Indeed.
doing the resort thing.
I did that recently because I was in Orlando for work, and I couldn't really justify getting park tickets. So I just went to Disney Springs, then got on the bus to Polynesian, and wandered around there for a while. Went to Trader Sam's, then got on the monorail loop, and took it over to the Contemporary. And it's amazing to me that you can just do that. You can just do anything in those resorts without paying any money.
And that sounds like a great day. That little trip right there.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. It scratched the itch, as it were.
You can ride so many different various forms of transportation as part of that experience.
And those are my favorite rides. Yeah. I love the transit in those parks. And so the only one I didn't get to ride, obviously, was the little tram you ride from the parking lot to the park, which is, fantastic.
It's also fun, yeah. It's open air. You can feel the wind blowing by you as you cruise down those lanes.
That's right.
Haven't ridden one of those in a while. Usually we foot it when we're in the parking lot, but because usually we have a stroller, and we just have no time for collapsing strollers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have the easy collapsible ones, and they're okay, but it's just, nope, we can hoof it. We've done it before, and now once we've done it once, we do it every time. But
oh, man, I don't know if I just love riding that tram.
You should just do that for fun.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go there with the express purpose of riding the parking tram.
All day.
No, I'm staying on.
One more time.
Bring it back. They give you the little intercom and you start giving them instructions. All right, no further boarding.
The tram will be running until 1 a.m. tonight.
All right, let's dive into this. We open with the classic Wonderful World of Disney intro, which I missed.
The Wonderful World of Disney.
does the Wonderful World of Disney not come back now that they can add Marvel and Star Wars under that wing?
Oh, wow.
Maybe they will as part of their streaming service. I mean, ideal vision of a Disney streaming service at least caters somewhat to this audience who is familiar with the older specials and the older TV series. And I mean, I think they do try to acknowledge that, at least that intro and the jingle and stuff with the World of Color, show that's at California Adventure.
Oh yeah.
Which I think the Wonderful World of Color preceded the Wonderful World of Disney in the lineage of regular weekly Disney TV shows.
Okay. Yeah.
They had like the Disneyland show for a while, and then they switched to the Wonderful World of Color when color TV started becoming a big thing. And then I think it went from that to the Wonderful World of Disney, but they the intro is very similar. It's very rich and saturated, and it's crazy to think that in 1978 there was enough nostalgic awareness that they could play on, the music from Pinocchio and Cinderella and stuff, and have it evoke that mood. But obviously, it worked. They were doing it. But it is a great intro.
It is. And then we see a familiar sight to anyone who's ever been to the Magic Kingdom around Christmas time. It's a choir of snow-dusted singers performing My Favorite Things, which... Why is that a Christmas song?
I didn't actually think about that.
Green-colored ponies and crisp apple strudel, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles.
I think I was so... I mean, since they're carolers and they're wearing the era-appropriate garb and it's quote-unquote snowing, I think I just was like, okay, this is a Christmas carol. I didn't even think about the fact that they were just singing a few of my favorite things.
Yeah, and I've heard that on Christmas albums before, and I never understood why. Is it because you get stuff at Christmas?
Yeah, maybe.
Not.
That's the only reason I could think of.
Did you guys spot who's in that crowd of carolers?
I didn't.
I don't think I did.
I saw a few characters on the train.
Well, I mean, I've been, since watching this for the first time a while ago, but then again, more, with a more like investigatory eye recently, I spotted Shields and Yarnell.
Oh, they're
in that crowd of carolers?
Front and center.
I saw I saw something that appeared to be some kind of kid who was dressed up but not singing. Was that them?
That's right. That's two of them. Yeah.
Both. But no, right in the front of this choir, it looks like some kid who's dressed up but not singing and just seems to be confused about what's going on around them.
That kid, I think he is right next to Shields and Yarnell.
Okay.
They're the two front people. And I know this because their faces are now burned into my brain.
Disney really did get their money's worth when hiring Shields and Yarnell for this series.
Gosh,
special.
I can't. Well, we'll get to that, I guess, but...
We will. Well, yeah, let's pan out. We see the Walt Disney World Railroad train departing Main Street USA station at the entrance, and a whole bunch of characters, as I mentioned. They have their hands full of snow, and they're just dumping it onto the choir.
Yeah, and they seem to have dressed the train, at least the front part, to look like, sort of Tudor kind of housing. There's like some kind of facade on the engine or something, because that clears out of the way to reveal the characters on the train.
Oh, yeah.
It's really weird.
I don't know if that's a backdrop between the train and the choir or what. But...
I think it's on the train.
Oh, really?
Like I think it's affixed to the engine.
Okay.
It could be. Yeah, like little placards that they stuck on there.
Yeah. But it's so weird, like the train starts moving, they're still singing, and the characters are dumping fake snow, like, aggressively on the...
It is aggressive, and they're not flinching. They're going on. It's just like nothing's happening. We're not being pelted with snowballs.
There was some, animosity between the custom characters and Shields and Yarnell, maybe.
Yeah.
this was shot like at the end of the special.
Right. That was the last cut, and it was just, nope, we got it, print.
Yeah. And then like the camera pulls back and they just play like triumphant,
It's
music.
so triumphant.
Well, did you recognize that music, either of you?
Yeah. It's, what is it? It's Come All Ye Faithful.
No.
Is it
No. Not a Christmas song. It's a classical piece known as The Great Gate of Kiev by Russian composer Modest Mussorgsky. There it is.
Christmas at Walt Disney World.
But I know it better as the entrance music for WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Go back and listen to it. It is his music, done by a Disney choir.
Wow.
I recognized it about halfway through, and I was like, wait a minute.
Wow.
It's incredible.
So I looked it up, and it's this from this Russian opera.
I mean, that sweeping shot is that helicopter shot of the Magic Kingdom is every bit deserving of a majestic theme befitting of a Memphis professional wrestling magnet.
Oh, yeah.
It is an incredible introduction. And I was thinking as I was rewatching this, like, my memory of it is always that it's not as Christmassy as it should be to be a Christmas special.
Yeah.
I tend to fixate. It's very special for me because I think all of the really great stuff is at the beginning, and it just kind of quality-wise, or at least interest-wise for me, starts to peter out halfway through.
Yeah.
But so I go into it and I see the carolers and stuff, and then immediately we're like, forget Christmas! It's the Magic Kingdom!
Oh, well, that just goes to show me that I've lived in Florida for too long because I didn't pick up on any of that. I was just like, yeah, Christmas.
Christmas.
They got garland out. It's fine.
I like that they're not very good at helicopter shots.
They really aren't. The camera is so shaky, both on this shot and then the one over the end credits. It's just hang it out the window on a string. It'll be fine.
I like to imagine that was like the same helicopter that Walt flew over the property in.
Yeah.
And it's just like a really rickety old thing that they just had sitting around.
Just one last run. This will be special.
Yeah.
Well, after the opening credits, it's mime time. We fade in on... go ahead.
I was just going to say, the opening credits do the classic, like, headshots. I guess Shields and Yarnell don't get a headshot, actually.
They don't. I guess they were in the choir.
Huge sensations.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who they are.
But, like, we get a Phyllis Diller headshot. We get... I can't remember the two younger girls' names, but they both get headshots. I don't know if Geppetto gets one.
He does. Avery Shapiro. Yep. Yes. Andrea McCardle. And,
that's right.
Danielle Spencer.
Right.
Danielle Spencer, yes.
Better known as D from What's Happening.
Yes. Which, of course, was an NBC show.
Ah, there it is.
Starts to make sense.
Okay.
More about her later.
But just, even before Shields and Yarnell appear, I'm already angry at their names.
Yeah.
Specifically the name Yarnell. That I'm forced to hear that spoken. It's like a Stygian god's name, like something from ancient times that isn't supposed to be heard by humans.
Well, the art of miming has a long legacy.
Well, and they were married, so she chose to keep it.
That's right. Well,
that's true. Yeah, they're married at this time, I think.
Yeah. Well, certainly she was known already, She's not going to change her name for Shields. I mean, I wouldn't change my name for Shields.
Not from Yarnell to Shields?
Yeah.
No way.
Ugh.
we fade in on Los Angeles International Airport for a segment called The Clinkers Christmas Vacation.
So this was their thing. These characters, the Clinkers, like that.
Yeah.
I think this is what their big thing was. And I was reading up on them, and like they had a moment. Like they were on Sonny and Cher. They were on the Muppet Show.
Yes, they were on the Muppet Show during season 4, which never came out on DVD. So it's been quite a while since I've seen that one.
They were just all over the place. They got their own show. The Shields and Yarnell show.
Oh, did they?
Does it hurt you to say that?
Yeah. But I guess we haven't even described what's going on in this scenario.
Yeah, this is like the overarching storyline of this special is the Clinkers Christmas Vacation. Yeah.
I don't know if it is for the whole special. I think it's just the overarching thing for these first 15 minutes.
Segment.
Yeah.
It's so long.
Well, it was the 70s. Everything, like, they could have packed this into a half-hour special, but for some reason, everything in the 70s always felt like it went on for a month.
Yeah.
As I've been finding out as I've been recording episodes of this show and stuff from that time period. It's just, well, and this came out a few weeks right after Star Wars, and that feels like it's months long. So this is that same time frame.
What an amazing time to be alive.
Indeed.
Kids are high off of the, like, amazing achievement that is Star Wars. And then they're given as a gift this special. Like what a year.
So the Clinkers, that was their best known bit. They portrayed this robot couple because they had a talent of, one, doing these robotic motions, and two, never blinking.
Right. That was their thing.
That really drove it home.
So did you guys know that Shields, so he was a mime, and he was discovered by Marceau, the famous French mime. And he was like, come to my school. You're so good. I want you to come and learn miming at my school. And so Shields went, and then Shields was like, you know what? F this. Miming. He's like, I want to bring mime, past all this art stuff. This is too artsy fartsy. Let's have a little fun. And so he left Marceau's school and came back
to California.
He went back to LA.
Yes.
And then that's when he developed the Clinker character, and he met Yarnell, of course.
Yes.
Who, by the way, Yarnell is 7 years his senior.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
Did you also discover that Yarnell went on to fame as Dot Matrix in Spaceballs?
I did.
I mean, I need to watch Spaceballs now with a whole new lens.
Shields has to be so mad about that, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, for at least by Wikipedia's account, he originated this character, this robot character.
Yeah.
And she gets to play a robot in this massive Star Wars parody hit.
I do wonder about that, because you're right. Like in all the information that I was able to find, his claim to fame was being able to portray a robot in mime better than anyone had ever done before, or at least anyone who had ever tried.
Yeah.
But they quickly formed a duo after meeting, and the Clinkers was their thing. That was what got them their recognition. So does that mean that did he have to train her to be up to his level of robot miming, or was she just gifted in a way that he was gifted, and it was like an awakening when they met?
Yeah. Did they just find each other and something magical?
She was a dancer.
Okay.
And I did watch a clip of them on American Bandstand.
Right. Well, and she dances later in this, too.
Well, they're being interviewed by, what's his face?
Dick Clark?
Dick Clark, yeah. And he asked them how they met, and I've, of course, forgotten the answer. But, I think one saw the other performing. Oh, I think he saw her dancing. And he was like, hey, you should join me in this mime gig I got going on.
How's your robot? That's his pickup line.
Yeah. So
how's your robot?
But they're at LAX, right?
Yes.
And
which is not actually LAX, right? Isn't that MCO, Orlando International Airport, that they're just...
I think it looked like, I've never been to LAX, but that may very well have been Orlando International Airport. They just did it for both sides. It doesn't look anything like that now, even the old terminal.
Yeah.
But they're going through security, and of course they set off the metal detector because robots. But we see them arrive in Orlando through the baggage claim, and this is where they get the idea for Toy Story 2, right?
Yes.
Someone at Pixar found this old footage.
Why wasn't there a Shields and Yarnell nod in one of the Toy Story movies?
Maybe it's there and we just haven't picked up on it.
Yeah.
All right, we got to watch them all now.
Yeah.
One thing I took from this scene was I wish Orlando Airport was as non-busy as it looked here. Never that.
It seems so quaint and just quiet.
Yeah. And then they they aren't allowed access to the bus, right? And so they have to find some way to get themselves to the park. And apparently their luggage is also a vehicle.
Yeah, it's like a little large luggage chest on wheels that's basically a go-kart. They're go-karting around property, we see.
So before we recorded this, I didn't want to say the word hate. I wanted to be positive and just be like, you know what? This was a thing and it was very popular, but it does fill me with just like revulsion.
This sequence of them driving down 535 or whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty much the entire sequence. Anytime they're doing any kind of bit, I am just disgusted by the expressions on their faces. And I guess what it is about specifically when they're driving their go-kart luggage thing is they're both like spread eagle sitting on this thing, like it's a motorcycle, but with their legs splayed out.
Yeah.
They're like action figures.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just makes me mad that someone wasn't like, don't do this. Don't. This isn't funny.
Makes me mad that I don't have that luggage.
Yeah, totally. And so they drive, they drive to the resort, and at one point, they sort of very narrowly avoid getting hit by a train.
Yeah, the old just cross the tracks really quick.
What train is that?
That is the Fort Wilderness Railroad.
Yes.
Is that still there?
It is not. And in fact, I feel like I saw in researching this that it actually closed either right before this special aired or right after it. It was somewhere around 78.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it closed that early.
It must have been because of that near collision with the clinkers.
There it is. That was...
They deemed it too dangerous.
That was the good take. They had stunt doubles, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, I guess they made the decision to close it in June of 1977.
Wow.
So either it took that long before they actually implemented that decision, or they just brought it back for this special so that they could film the clinkers.
I hope so. I hope this wasn't a year and a half in the making.
I was just going to say, I bet that it was.
I mean, I imagine that mimes are hard to work with if they are, especially if they're like coming at this from a method perspective, there's a lot that's lost in the direction. So maybe it did take that.
Could be if they're going at that pace.
Yeah. So that railroad ran from 1971 or 72, I think, until 77, 78-ish, around the property. And you can follow the path now because it's like a running path.
Oh, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a really nice hidden gem of things.
Sure. I mean, at one point, it probably goes in that pattern.
Yeah.
We're going to go in 2 half circles for no reason. And later we see them very quickly on a boat fishing on Bay Lake, like we mentioned.
That's right. You skipped one part I did want to bring up.
Okay.
They do end up at Magic Kingdom.
Oh,
by
that's
the end
right.
of this. And something's happening that I want to know if it really happened in the parks at this time or if this was specific to the special. So there's a parade happening, and I totally believe that. Like, it's sort of a...
They do have parades at the Magic Kingdom?
But it's sort of like a soldier, what's that era? Like
Bicentennial.
parade.
Oh, okay. Really?
With fifes and stuff.
Okay.
Right. But the parade is walking by what seems to be an open air buffet.
Yes.
And I want to know if they did open air buffets in the park at this time, or if that was just like for the bit that comes with the clinkers later.
I have been trying to find out. I've been trying to verify if that was a thing, and I cannot locate any references to an open air buffet, which is to be positioned right in front of the Liberty Tree Tavern, but it's clearly not part of the Liberty Tree Tavern. Like it is out there on the parade route, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to find any evidence that it was a regular thing that happened at the park.
Clinkers rented out Liberty Tree Tavern or some space and were late to their own party. That darn bus.
They made up for it with the mashed potato consumption.
Yeah.
There you go.
Those are some incredible mashed potatoes, by the way.
Oh yeah, those are. Is there a photo of me trying to eat a spoonful of those?
Yes. Yeah. I have a great photo of Drew spooning large quantities of mashed potatoes into his mouth at the Liberty Tree Tavern.
And that's now in the show notes.
From around the time that I first saw this special, actually.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So that was fresh in your mind when we were at the park.
Yeah, it probably was.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the introduction of the clinkers, and then we move to Discovery Island,
where we encounter our musical headliner Pablo Cruise. And on the island, there's a band of pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean who are apparently chasing a screaming woman. And Pablo Cruise just stand there and watch, like,
totally disinterested in helping her. They're more concerned about the vulture that's looming over.
Yes.
Pablo Cruise are not allies.
No.
That's an important lesson to take away from this special.
Ashley and I were watching this, and I was commenting like how you could be like 50 years old and totally skeezy and be very successful as a rock star in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like the guy standing in the white, like...
Yeah, doing his little...
Yeah, he's just, grooving his hip. And Ashley's like, her comment was, how are people okay with pants like that back then?
That was the only pants that were available for everyone.
He's just standing there with his fro and his mustache.
They all kind of have fros going on.
Yeah,
and four of them. Yeah.
And Ashley also noted no one has an instrument other than the guy with the piano.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think it's fascinating that for one, like Pablo Cruise This is my only association with Pablo. This is the only...
everyone's only association.
It is now.
But so I guess they did put out a few records, and so I guess the timing of their release sort of explains why this song was chosen to be featured in this special. But this again speaks to why I disassociate this special from so much, because this song is like a summer vacation song, and they even say like the days keep on getting longer.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this airs 2 weeks before the winter equinox. How are the days getting longer?
And it showcases all these water activities.
Yeah. This sequence is like, for me, the pinnacle of the special, and really the pinnacle of 70s Walt Disney World, because you see them. We go from Discovery Island to the paddle. They have a schooner or something that they're taking out of the lake with this beautiful rainbow sail. It looks like the quintessential getaway to the Sandals Resort type commercial or something. And then they're in the paddle boat. All four of them are in the paddle boats.
Yes.
And they are going nuts.
They are having the best time. No one has ever had as much fun on a paddle boat singing along to their own music as these four people have at this moment. But then it gets better, because then suddenly they're on little jet skis that are flying around. And I love that they're like, the one guy, the mustache guy, is trying to... He's both trying to maintain this music video mimicry thing.
Right.
You know, I don't know if they're actually pumping the song out to them as they're filming this, but he's trying to sing along and do his part. But he's also like in the lead. He seems to feel like he needs to be the conductor of this whole sequence. And he's like referencing the other people on jet skis. You know, he's like putting up his arms and as though he's like saying, "Yeah, look at what Clive is doing over there. Isn't that funny?" And now let's cast your attention forward and see what our bassist is doing.
Yeah.
Amazing sequence. And then we get like a 4-shot. It's not just a split screen, it's a quad screen.
Right.
Of all of the different water adventures that Pablo Cruise can have at Walt Disney World. And so can you.
Yeah.
In 1978.
He like side hustles as a travel agent.
They do make their way back to Discovery Island to close things out. And there's a fantastic shot where you've got 3 of the Pablo Cruise members sort of close to frame in kind of a stair-step configuration. Mm-hmm. And one of them's down at the piano. And in the background is the 4th member standing, I think, on one of the like masts of the ship that's shipwrecked on Discovery Island. But the best part is that there's a cockatoo on the shoulder of the man playing piano, and it immediately jumps off of his shoulder onto the piano, and so the other band member picks it up and puts it back on the cockatoo. And then the bird's like, "No," and he jumps back off.
I have been to Discovery Island twice in my life. Before it closed, I did manage to make it over there, and it was full of exotic birds. That was like the first thing you see before you even make it to shore. You notice that there are birds just swarming around this place. But at no time, one, was I ever offered a piano to play, and with the accompaniment of a bird. And
not even a vulture.
Not even a vulture.
No.
And they actively discouraged the birds from being on your shoulder. So in a way, this is kind of false advertising. But it certainly makes Discovery Island look a lot more exciting than I think anyone ever actually thought it was, which explains why it is now closed.
I went to Discovery Island too, but I don't remember having anywhere near as much fun as Pablo Cruise had or the Pirates had on Discovery Island.
Yeah.
The island's still out there in Bay Lake. It's been abandoned. I've only heard one story about someone going overnight and just snapping some pictures. Hey, I was on Discovery Island. It looks like a ghost town now.
Yeah, you can still like rent a boat or whatever and like go, look at it. You can sail by it or motorboat by it or whatever you would call it. But yeah, I guess you gotta be sneaky if you want to actually get on there.
Yeah, I've seen photos that were probably from that excursion that Mike mentioned, and it looks really overrun. It kind of reminds me of in the Lost World, the Jurassic Park sequel.
Yeah,
it's like on a very smaller scale. And it's these kind of zoological facilities that have been overgrown over time.
It's weird that they just left it that way.
Well, they have had some ideas in the past, or at least there have been rumors of ideas that they were thinking about exploring as a means of utilizing it again. The one that I think has the most traction, or the one that people seem to recall most vividly, is that at one point Disney was, I guess, looking at making a real world Myst experience based on the video game Myst.
Wow.
And it was going to take place on Discovery Island, which, like if it's 1993 or whatever it was when that game came out, and you hear this, you think, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Disney can do it. This is the thing. But that island is relatively small. There's no way it could absorb the kind of volume that a branded attraction would bring to it, no matter what it is. It just seems like it's not large enough to facilitate that.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the problem that they keep coming back to. It's not worth their while to do anything with it unless it is this really bankable prop. But if it's a really bankable property, then there's no way they can control the volume of people going there.
No.
But apparently that island was, at least according to urban legend, the reason why Walt Disney decided on that property as the place for Walt Disney World. When he was flying over, he saw the lake, he saw the island, and he said, that's it. That's where we want to go. And I'm sure that, there were other factors that played into that, but it's a fun story to think that this island that has been abandoned all these years was the key deciding factor in why this whole property exists. But if nothing else, Pablo Cruise had a great time.
Yeah,
sure did.
Thank goodness.
So at least we have that legacy. Walt can sleep peacefully, knowing that Pablo Cruise had a heck of a night.
His favorite band.
Well, now we cut to Shields and Yarnell again, but this time they're babies.
They're babies!
This is the worst part of the entire special. This is the most disgusting display. I don't understand, even in the 70s, who is watching that? The robots I get. I could see someone being like, oh, that's really funny. I like that. He looks like a robot. She looks like a robot. That's great. But the grotesque display put on by these two in these baby outfits, they don't even, babies don't even act the way they act.
No, they're in giant baby clothes and bonnets and sucking one another's thumbs.
Ugh.
And they're sitting in front of a bunch of strollers, but not actually in a stroller themselves.
Not in them.
Right.
Yeah. That's the only saving grace for this scene, as far as I'm concerned, is seeing those old strollers back there.
Yeah.
You just have to fixate on those and try not to pay too much attention to Shields and Yarnell.
It's all the same kind of stroller, and they're in a nice, neat little row that you don't see anymore because everyone brings their own stroller now.
Right.
Yeah. They still do stroller rentals at the park.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
They don't look like that, but
yeah.
But that goes on for about 45 seconds, and
too long.
I get you have to fill time, but I don't understand.
Ugh. Terrifying.
But
and they look so much alike. Shields and Yarnell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
they do.
Disturbing.
Oh, that's gonna... Yep. I'm not sleeping tonight. Then it's Yarnell tap dancing out in front of the Main Street fire station.
Yeah.
Now, it might be the video or my terrible depth perception or the camera's terrible depth perception, but it looks like she comes really close to kicking a few people in the face. Just bystanding kids. Okay.
It's very claustrophobic. I've noticed about this special. I don't know if that was a thing like back in the 70s when they would shoot these things. You know, now I feel like they keep those streets pretty clear when they're filming sequences of dancing or parade routes or whatever. But it does seem like they just let people just roll into these.
Yeah.
The frame is just crowded with people in those shots.
They're like stacked on each other.
That's how they're framing it. Well, it's like watching a morning talk show where the audience is just, it's like a tiny, tiny, tiny room when you actually go to the place, but it looks all widespread with a big crowd. So I guess that's how they're framing it. Nope, just like 20 people. Just sit on top of each other. It'll be fine.
Okay, now move over here. We're going to move the camera.
All right, and she's going to almost kick you in the face, but you can't move.
Do not react to Miss Yarnell, please.
What I love about this, too, is that, like, other than the Clinkers' Christmas Vacation, there's no structure or context around any of this.
Right,
No.
right.
We go
Just
from the
presented
Clinkers
with it,
to Pablo Cruise to Babies to tap dancing.
Our sort of palate cleanser into Babies is like shots of children at the parks.
That's true.
They start playing the lullaby song over those kids. And these are just like toddlers who are just, I don't know, they're just standing around.
At the park, making their suns in my eye face.
Yeah, that footage that they use is reused in at least 4 different Disney specials. And I think they're just like waiting for a parade. I've seen that little boy clap his hands together at least 800 times in my life.
But that's our way into accepting that 2 grown adults are going to act like babies.
Yeah.
But
It's the perfect thing.
That boy's got to be 45 years old now.
I would love to find out.
that boy is Bob Iger. The dance is pretty good, though.
It is.
Yeah, it's an impressive dance.
I mean, she's talented, and I like the outfit she's got on. It's fun. She's got suspenders. And then there's like a transition to another dance, and I feel like it's a different time of day. She starts dancing at sunset, and then suddenly it's mid-morning farther down Main Street. All night.
It's the Magic Kingdom. What do you do?
Yeah.
Time has no meaning here.
And I feel like she sort of is now wearing a kind of approximation of Mickey's outfit. Because Mickey is there, the walk around character.
Yes, she starts tap dancing with Mickey.
Yeah.
Before jumping on a trolley, and then that's it.
Yeah, I like the choreography of that. Like, she sort of runs over to the street lamp, does a quick little like spin around it. Like she's got to rev herself up to get up onto that trolley as it passes by.
Yeah,
and then she's like, "See you later, Mickey." Like they just wave goodbye to each other.
Mickey's at work. He's got to go places.
Yeah, that's right. It's Christmas at Walt Disney World, Drew.
He's got to get busy. Maybe he was kicking her out.
It could be.
It's like,
you could take the trolley fine.
Don't get off until you leave my property.
Take your luggage car with you.
Yeah, really.
From there, I think, do we go to Geppetto?
We go to Geppetto. It's a lovely little center wipe to the home of Geppetto, played by Avery Schreiber, probably best known at the time as a guy in a bunch of Doritos ads, at the end of which he says, cheese.
He also appeared on The Muppet Show.
He did.
Yeah. I watched his clip, yeah.
Yeah, well, and he was a longtime comedy partner with Jack Burns, who co-wrote the Muppet movie with Jerry Jewell.
Oh, I did not know that.
Neither did I until I looked it up. So there's the connection there.
Do you think that they were like, Avery, we're doing this special for Walt Disney World Christmas, and he's like, oh, you want me to write it? And he goes, well, we've got Shields and Yarnell. They're doing a lot of stuff. And he's probably frustrated by that because I'm sure Shields and Yarnell are just taking jobs left and right. But they're like, but we do have some time we need to fill, and wondering if you have any ideas. Like, do you think they're just like, do what you want? And he's like, what if I'm Geppetto?
Well,
yeah, I've got this mustache. What can I do with it?
I've got this mustache.
Well, Pinocchio was back in theaters around this time.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So they got a shill for Pinocchio. I remember that because the small one, which was a short that played right before Pinocchio in the theaters, and that was about the donkey who would go on to carry Mary into Bethlehem. Oh. So that was Don Bluth's last Disney project.
Wow. The conceit of this segment is that Geppetto. It's Christmas. This one is set at Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. Like
yes.
He's reading a card.
We're back on actual Christmas.
Yes.
Right. We're in Geppetto's shop. We could assume we're in the Magic Kingdom, right? We're inside. Or was there a Pinocchio ride in Orlando? Or is that
not
just,
a ride?
That was just Disneyland.
His village house.
They have the Pinocchio Village House, which is a restaurant.
All right, maybe he's in the village house.
Sure.
But he's in his
Christmas card and mozzarella sticks.
Yeah. That's the one that's next to It's a Small World. So as you're going on to It's a Small World and you're waving up at the people eating, that's Pinocchio Village House.
That's Pinocchio's Village House. Yeah.
But he's reading this card from Pinocchio, who has grown up and moved to America.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Your boy Pinocchio. That's nice. Your boy Pinocchio. You hear that? He's still my boy. Pinocchio's a grown up. He moved to America, but he's still my boy. What a crazy wooden puppet I make, huh?
So that's canon now, I think.
So that's the thing. It's like, are they like, okay, so Avery, you're going to be Geppetto, and they're like, and we just want you to write something or wing it or whatever. And he's like, okay, well, I got this idea. Geppetto's lonely because Pinocchio's gone. Well, where's Pinocchio? Well, he grew up. Okay, but why doesn't he visit his father?
On Christmas.
Yeah, he's in America. and yeah, is that canon now? Like I've struck this whole special. I'm struck at how unprotective they are of the brand.
Yeah,
and it makes me think like, so why are they so protective now? It didn't hurt them at all. You know what I mean?
This happened. It's just like, we cannot let that happen again. Yeah. This was the last straw.
Yeah.
But I love how unfunny this whole segment.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's meant to be. I think...
Right.
It's just... and they don't even mention that the movie's out or anything. It's just, here's Geppetto.
Yeah, they just kind of assume that you will associate this with Pinocchio, the film.
Yeah, and he's lonely, and so he starts singing a song. Oh, he tells this amazing story that we also have to assume is canon now about the first time he spanked, first and only time he spanked Pinocchio.
Oh, what a time it was!
This is gonna hurt me more than it's a hurt to you. Boy, was I right.
He says he's reminded of it every time he gets a splinter while working in the shop.
And then the joke is Pinocchio was still made of wood at the time, so it literally hurt Geppetto more than it hurt him.
Right. And what might actually be better than that story is the story of him giving Pinocchio his first bath And Pinocchio, again, is still wood at this point, apparently. And I just love his, like, delivery of this, where he's like, I put him in the water, he starts thrashing around, but he floats. And then the water gets inside him, gets all full of water, warped. Like, the way he delivers these lines. He goes from being sweet Geppetto, right, to this, very, like, two-man duo kind of cadence, like comedy man delivery. It's really, and he mugs to the camera, and he's got this sardonic look on his face, and it's really interesting to watch.
With no partner. Who's his comedy partner? Yeah. Guess what? It's you.
Well, he does create a partner, though, as we're watching.
That's right. He decides to make himself a new friend to talk to for Christmas and gets to work.
And he sings this song where I think 90% of the lyrics are the word today.
Today, I take some wood from an old tree. Don't you worry, Christmas tree, today I try to make it company.
And he makes a mini Geppetto doll.
That's right.
That's the problem with Pinocchio. He realizes that Pinocchio was not enough like him.
There it is.
So Pinocchio 2.0 is going to be much more Geppetto-like.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is a disturbing visage on that. I mean, it looks a lot like him.
It looks a lot like that Geppetto. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Not Disney Geppetto, Geppetto. And we have to get through all of that just to cut to a scene from the actual movie. Because, again, it was back in theaters at this time, but they don't tell you that.
It's a scene, yeah. Which, I forget which scene it cuts to.
It's the Blue Fairy.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Which is, I guess, our transition into another Shields and Yarnell. Or just Shields at this point,
that's
I think.
Right. This is where, like, we see it. Okay, so...
Oh, yeah.
We're told that... Here's the issue with this, right? We're told in one scene that Pinocchio has grown up and moved to America. And then, is this that Pinocchio?
I don't know. So what happens is we cut to the Blue Fairy scene in the movie, and then it's back to reality. It's the mime again. It's Robert Shields as Pinocchio now.
Yeah,
he's doing a little wooden boy having trouble standing up dance.
Yeah,
and Pinocchio awkwardly walks out of his shop, and oh look, he's on Main Street. Not even the Village House. He's on Main Street.
Right.
That was a really gratifying return to Main Street for me. I thought, I'm glad that we're back here after enduring all of that. At least, we come back to Main Street. But then he encounters a woman and her child, and the look of horror on the child's face is
rightly so
immeasurable.
Yeah.
I've never seen a kid look so horrifying.
That kid is the only one who reacted correctly.
Yeah, I mean, my younger daughter had her moment when she was very, very little, when she was not having any character meet and greets at all, but not nearly as frightened as this girl. So Pinocchio rightly pops her balloon. And then he meets up with honest John Foulfellow, that's the scheming fox from Pinocchio, and his cat sidekick Gideon. I have never seen those two out at Disney World. I've seen pictures of my friends meeting them at Disneyland, but I've never seen them in Florida.
Yeah, I've seen photos of them in Florida, but same. Well, actually, I take that back. I may have seen them my very first trip, which was in 84. But my memories are so hazy that I can't even say for sure. Or if I'm just, making this composite memory from photos that I've seen.
Is it possible they filmed this sequence in Disneyland?
It doesn't look it. I mean, it is possible.
Shields is, both of them are LA based.
Yeah. But it definitely does look like the Magic Kingdom Main Street.
Yeah.
Just the scale of it seems larger than Disneyland.
Doesn't he get up on a stage at this point? Doesn't he do some sort of performance? Pinocchio?
Yeah, he
doesn't he do the I Got No Strings?
He dances on a corner and he lip syncs I Got No Strings on a stage that's just set up on Main Street.
Yeah. It's next to the open air buffet.
There you go.
Omni movers be damned. Just try and make it down the street with this thing.
Until a rather tall constable starts chasing him down the road.
Right.
So, you know what's been missing on Main Street? Cops.
Yeah.
Now, do either of you have a favorite part of this chase scene? Because I do, but...
Oh, I'm excited to hear yours.
Yeah, I want to hear what your favorite part is.
It's absolutely Pinocchio riding behind a fire truck and kind of dragging his feet as he's on an invisible skateboard like Marty McFly. I know, shocking.
And he ends up back in the little shop.
He does, eventually.
And what another thing that makes me angry is that I feel like Shields believes we're idiots. Because it's very obvious that the furniture is oversized.
Yeah.
You know, and if we go back to the baby thing, like, they're wearing these giant shoes, and, like, Shields has no perception of proportion and what, like, actually sells. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Because this is set in a place where they have mastered forced perception.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And he doesn't do it any favors.
Do you think Imagineers watched this special and were mad about it? Like,
I bet at least one. Just like, no, what they could have done.
I like imagining like Claude Coates and Mark Davis are just like...
Yes, Mark Davis is the one.
Grousing.
Yeah.
Incessantly. Yeah.
Just, did they mess up that bench? A runner-up on favorite chase scene, or favorite part of the chase scene, is running into this baker, but they kind of blew it. He carefully steps out of the bakery with a large layer cake, and I'm hoping he falls like the baker on Sesame Street.
10 chocolate layer cakes.
But no, Pinocchio just bumps into him, and the cake splats in the baker's face, and he tosses it on the ground in anger.
He did seem really frustrated.
He was just like, well, my entire cake's ruined, just right in the ground, in front of his own store, so he's going to have to clean it up.
oh, yeah. Jeez.
We all do silly things when we're angry.
Yeah. Well, he just encountered Shields. You can't blame him for being angry. That's just a
natural reaction.
That wasn't planned. That was not... He wasn't supposed to throw the cake down, but he just could not control himself when confronted with Shields.
All that rage.
They were like, this is the 5th take. Do not throw the cake down. Like, I am trying my hardest not to.
They would absolutely make 5 cakes to keep that going, too, just to get a perfect
Yeah, they
one.
would. Yeah.
They had them all ready to go because, someone planned for that.
That's right.
But yeah, after that, it's just makes it back to Geppetto's workbench, sits, rests, moving on.
Right.
To a recorded display of fireworks, which you can't even hear, and are zoomed in way too closely to really appreciate the spectacle on television, but it's backed by a rather fast-paced choral rendition of O Come All Ye Faithful.
Oh, that's where it comes in.
It's really quick-paced for a Disney choir. Like, Bad Religion does a cover of O Come All Ye Faithful, and that isn't this fast.
I'm pretty sure that this actually is footage from Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Again, like the recycling of stock footage throughout Disney specials.
Oh.
If you've seen enough of them many, many, many times, you start to pick up on like particular patterns of fireworks. And the oversaturation of some of this footage too makes me think it's a little bit older than the stuff that was shot specifically for this. which I think is hilarious because, it's not like there's a drought of fireworks at Walt Disney World. Even if there is only one park, it's, the fireworks are part of like the signature Magic Kingdom experience. So
I can hear them every night.
Crew there. Yeah, how hard would it be to just schedule a few extra hours to shoot some explosions in the sky?
Right? But here it's just fireworks in the dark sky. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why it zoomed in so hard, so you can't see the castle for a frame of reference.
Yeah,
castle,
that's right. Yeah.
But it's a real quick thing, and then we fade to a fanfare of trumpeters on the balcony of Cinderella Castle, announcing the arrival of Cinderella's pumpkin coach, looking much more closely to a pumpkin than I'm used to. Usually you see the coach out of the Magic Kingdom, and it's that brilliant white with gold trim. Here it just looks like an orange pumpkin kind of halfway transformed with the green wheel-shaped vines. I think I like this one better. Bring it back.
Yeah.
I sort of wonder if maybe it wasn't built to last. It was just, fabricated for this special exclusively. Because it does look like you're right. It does look more organic, but maybe that's somewhat to its detriment.
Okay.
It could not endure.
Well, from the coach emerges what I at first think was Cinderella's fairy godmother, but she doesn't dress in pink, in a pink frilly dress and tiara. And upon closer inspection, it's Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
Followed by a bemused Danielle Spencer from What's Happening earlier. Now she is Dr. Danielle Spencer, a veterinarian and breast cancer survivor. So all the kudos in the world to Danielle Spencer.
Yes.
Who, here emerging from the pumpkin coach wearing a powder blue Mickey Mouse sweater, declares,
"All I want to know is why we couldn't come to Disney World in a bus like everyone else."
You're coming in a Cinderella's coach, and that line gets a roaring applause from the crowd, too. I'm sorry, are you unimpressed with arriving via pumpkin coach? Danielle Spencer?
This is the thing with that becomes a signature of the Disney specials. It's like, it's two opposite ends of the spectrum.
It is.
You have like the people who are so earnest, they are Yards and or Shields and Yarnell.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who are like so distinctly the straight person who is like not at all beholden to any evocation. They are there to be a cynic and a hard cynic until they have that switch, when suddenly, you know what, this is all right.
That's the plot of every TGIF episode that went to Disney World. There's always one.
Yeah. There's a moment in this, so Phyllis Diller keeps talking about the prince, right? Mm-hmm. She's like, that prince is coming. I got a chance with that prince.
Yeah.
I wore this dress for the prince. She sort of keeps going on and on about him. And I feel like, what's her name? Danielle? Danielle. So at one point, they make a deal where she's finally will let Phyllis Diller, I guess, go after the prince. And she says, I wrote it down here, as long as you pay my way on all the rides.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So was that...
We're in ticket book time here.
Is it still ticket book time at this point?
Until I think 83 or so?
That sounds right.
Somewhere around there.
That sounds right. Yeah. But right now, as of this recording, let's look at admission prices in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, oh man, my notes are out of date because I think they just went up again.
Did they?
I think so, just this week, but all right. But last week, before we recorded this, a single-day ticket to a Walt Disney World park cost between $109 and $129, depending on the park and the time of year. So it'll be more expensive on more popular day. Yeah, Christmas Day.
They're there around Christmas, right? So that's going to be expensive.
But once you're inside now, you can get on anything, provided you're either willing to wait in line or you book a fast pass ahead of time.
Right. Or you pay for a max pass.
Or a max pass, that's right.
So an additional $10 will get you Or maybe, is that just Disneyland?
That's just Disneyland.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I'm just like, oh, did they have it here? I know they have it at Universal does something very similar.
Yeah.
But that's $60. And they don't have fast passes for, like, you can just go up and grab them. That's, you pay for it once, and you can get on everything once.
Right. Well, no, Universal has there are two versions of their Express Pass. There is the version that you're talking about where you pay and you can do the premium rides once.
Okay.
You do that front of the line. And then there's like $100 one or something that's, costs way more that you can get unlimited.
Okay.
Front of the line.
But in late 1978, the price of admission to the Magic Kingdom was $6.50.
Gosh, that's crazy.
But
Incredible.
Danielle Spencer at the time of this recording was 13, and back then they had a junior pricing between child and adult. So her ticket would have cost $5.50.
Nice. Now, how much is the ticket book?
The ticket book is $7.50 for one adventure book of free ride tickets ranging from levels A through E, depending on the ride. So, for the unaware, an E-ticket ride, maybe you've heard that expression before, that's where this comes from. It comes from Disneyland. So, it's your top-tier ride. So, Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Jungle Cruise, the Country Bear Jamboree was an E-ticket, the Hall of Presidents was an E-ticket, Jimmy Carter, the E-ticket attraction. It's a Small World, and the dearly departed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was the first thing I ever did at the Magic Kingdom when I went when I was 8.
Very cool.
So one book of tickets plus admission would have cost Danielle $13 American dollars.
Well, and we can assume that Danielle has paid her way into the park.
Yes.
Because she's requesting that Phyllis Diller pay for her rides. Right. So they have not yet purchased the tickets, ride tickets.
She got in, she went straight to this presentation in front of all of these people.
Right. They're in the hub right in front of Cinderella Castle.
They got to ride on this pumpkin carriage. For free, we assume.
Yeah.
And we don't even know how she might have taken that pumpkin directly from the set of What's Happening to the hub. Like, she probably didn't even have to ride on the monorail or the ferry boat across the lagoon to get there. And yet she's still, upset about that.
She's very sardonic.
Really is. Oh, what does she say?
Yeah.
You go to the ball. I want to go to Disney World. She wants to be there.
Oh, wait, she does want to be there.
She wants to be there. She doesn't want to go to the ball, I guess.
You know what it is? She's just sick of Phyllis Diller.
Maybe that's it.
She spent a whole carriage ride with her.
That would weigh on you.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Phyllis Diller lifts up her
seductively alluring ball gown and my irresistible glass slipper.
I love this reveal. She lifts it up, and it's the poofiest dress I've ever seen. To reveal one glass slipper on her right foot, and on the left, an old brown leather work boot.
That is a great gag.
That's a wonderful gag. And that seals this whole thing.
For real. So good. Oh my gosh. That's like a cartoon gag. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic.
But we now cut to a segment on Sleeping Beauty.
Oh gosh.
Which, at first I was wondering why they're in Cinderella Castle. Why are they cutting the Sleeping Beauty? Well, that's the next Disney movie to be re-released in 1979. So they're going to start getting it into your brain now without directly hyping it up. We get a dance number with Laureen Yarnell and Alan Kinsey.
Yeah. Well, Shields is not a dancer.
No, he's not. Well, this Alan Kinsey, he's a well-known ballet choreographer, but this is his only credit on IMDb.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's a good credit, though.
In drastic contrast is the narrator of this Sleeping Beauty segment. It's Sterling Holloway.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, joy filled the heart of every man, woman, and child. After many long years without children, the kind-hearted king and the lovely queen were finally graced by the birth of a beautiful baby daughter.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And if you don't know him by name, he's the original voice of Winnie the Pooh and Kaa the Snake in the Jungle Book, so it's this voice.
Oh, that was very good. Now, there's a little sequence preceding the dance, right, that sort of tells the story of Sleeping Beauty.
Yes, it's very quick.
So it's funny you say that this, they're sort of priming you to be excited about the re-release, because I wrote in my notes, Maleficent is startlingly off-model.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it looks nothing. They didn't even attempt to make her resemble the Maleficent from the movie.
No, she looks more like the queen from Snow White after transforming into an old hag.
Yeah, she does.
It's so weird.
I don't think it's supposed to be Maleficent. I think it's just an unnamed evil fairy. They went completely off-model. Also, I'll point out, the area they're doing this segment is inside the main arch of Cinderella Castle, because you can clearly see the mosaic behind them of Cinderella trying on the glass slipper for the Sleeping Beauty segment.
See, they just don't care. It's amazing the lack of care that went into making this.
But of note, the voice of the evil fairy has another Disney connection. Not the actress, but the voice is Joan Gerber, who would later become the original voice of Mrs. Beakley from DuckTales.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
But also the curse, here's how off-model it gets. The curse she puts on the princess happens on her 15th birthday instead of her 16th.
On the 15th birthday of the princess, she shall prick her finger.
What?
Like every other version of Sleeping Beauty I've ever heard, Disney or not, happens on her 16th birthday. I don't know what they're doing here. And
makes me so mad.
And from the outright, she sets the curse at a 100-year sleep instead of death. So, what are you doing, guys? I guess Sterling Holloway knew what was up because he cut straight to 100 years later.
Yeah.
No other backstory. And our daring prince wakes up Sleeping Beauty. That's when we get our ballet number in front of... Again, I need to make this distinction. It's Cinderella Castle.
Yeah.
So they're on the ground level, not even on the stage. They're in the photo spot. Cinderella gets to be on the balcony. Sleeping Beauty's got to stand with the common people. This whole segment with the introduction and the story and the dance is 7.5 minutes long, of an hour-long special.
Yeah. It is so long.
The dance sequence alone is 5 of those minutes.
I mean, John, you mentioned how this thing's sort of front-loaded. Like, all the excitement is at the beginning of this special. And this is where it just grinds to a halt.
Yeah, now imagine you're watching this at midnight on Walt Disney. Just go back to Discovery Island.
I can imagine myself waking up in the middle of this, because that's what used to happen to me. I would be watching something, I'd doze off, and then it's 12:30, and I'm just like, what is happening?
Yeah, what? Yeah. Who's dancing?
They summed up the entirety of Sleeping Beauty in half the time it took to dance about the end of it. Anyway, here comes a built-in commercial break, and we're back to see the Star of Bethlehem over a now snow-covered Main Street, USA.
Yeah, that's Main Street, though? Because it's
a little alcove, I think.
It's, Center Street, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Because it looks really dressed up.
It does.
It is, significantly. I've never seen this amount of snow, no matter what substance it's made of. I've never seen...
It's soap, y'all.
Yeah. I've never seen this much snow on Main Street, even when they actually, make it snow.
Yeah. Not on Main Street. The closest thing, the Disney Incorporated Town of Celebration does a nightly snowfall in December where They'll do almost this amount. They'll cover the whole street with snow, and then it'll start pouring out of these speakers and the headlights overhead, which is great.
I have seen this. So I follow some YouTube people who live in Orlando, and they go to the parks a lot and stuff. But they also went to this function, I think, that you're describing, Mike. And they sort of. It looks like they kind of have a fake ice rink out as well.
They do. It's plastic. It's very strange.
And then they're like, they have to close it down when the snow starts because it's too dangerous.
Don't let any snow get on the fake ice.
And is it actually snow, or I mean, it's not like some kind of chemical?
Oh no, it's soap. It's soap. It's not snow at all.
It is soap.
Yeah,
it is soap.
No.
Okay.
My children have never experienced real snow, but they have made plenty of soap angels.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, this part of Main Street is covered in snow.
And
it's deep.
Yeah.
And walking along the falling soap snow is our next guest, Philly's own Andrea McArdle, who was the original Annie in the Broadway musical.
Right. This whole ending sequence is very... it's amazing to me that it exists. Like that because at this point it becomes very secular. Am I using that word right?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think it's religious.
Not the opposite.
Sorry, non-secular. Yeah, it's like they go hardcore into the hymnal carols.
They do.
Of Christmas.
We see some Disney characters emerge singing "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen."
Let nothing you disdain. Remember Christ our Savior.
We see Goofy briefly, but actually gathering around Andrea singing "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen." It's Captain Hook.
Yeah.
It's the Big Bad Wolf. It's the aforementioned Honest John and Gideon from Pinocchio.
Yes.
And Brer Fox and Brer Bear.
Why do the villains surround her? It's so weird. That wolf is scary.
Yeah,
that is a scary character.
But Brer Fox and Brer Bear are there. Splash Mountain isn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
They're only from Song of the South when this is being made.
Oh, wow.
And this is pre VHS and everything, so the whole Song of the South legacy at this point is still not really widely known, I don't think.
Right.
And it's I grew up never seeing Song of the South, but I knew about its kind of notoriety. So that sort of was my connection to those characters. But at this point, I don't remember when Song of the South was released, but, were these characters perpetually present just because of Song of the South?
I guess so. I feel like they'd be out and about in Frontierland. Even before Splash Mountain. But, I mean, Zippity Doo Dah comes from that movie, and that is kind of an evergreen Disney song at this point. I had heard it on, Disney record collections growing up, and I had, not sing-along, one of those read-along tapes with the book on it. And it was Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby.
Yeah.
And that one, it wasn't read by the same person who would read the others. This had kind of that, it was like,
this is the story of Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby.
Wow. I feel like I definitely saw clips of Song of the South growing up, and maybe it was to promote Splash Mountain, because I was very tuned in to the Splash Mountain event.
Yeah.
I think we were going the summer that it opened.
Oh.
And so we had the Disney Channel, so I was watching every, countdown, every special on its construction, and I was very excited to write it. And I feel like they must have been showing parts from Song of the South that they deemed appropriate to show on the Disney Channel. I watched the opening ceremony with Ernest.
Ernest goes to Splash Mountain.
Yes. I was ready, and I feel like I maybe talked about this on our podcast, but I had a moment of like self introspection for the first time in my life in the line for Splash Mountain. Oh. So I want to say, what year was this? This was
94. I want to say it opened.
Is it that?
Yeah, I think in Florida, I think it was 94. It might have been earlier. It might have been like 89 or 90 in Disneyland.
It was Disneyland where we were, where this happens.
Splash Mountain opened in 1989. You're correct.
So I'm like 8 years old, and we're in line, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm finally here. I'm in line. At Splash Mountain. Like, this is just going through my head. And then I like imagine myself standing in line. I am standing in line, but but like I picture myself standing in line.
Did you have an out of body experience in line for Splash Mountain?
In a way, because in that moment I was like, oh, that's me. I was like, that's me, and I'm an individual and a person, and I'm me. And like I had this moment of like I exist in this world, and it was very striking. Like I remember it to this day. It happened in line at Splash Mountain. So I was very familiar with the Brer set of characters. Yes. And I think also the reason they're probably in this special is I feel like there weren't that many characters for them to utilize.
I guess not.
In general, right? Walk around characters.
Yeah.
At this point, and so they're just like, get everyone.
Sure. They just all happen to be villains at the beginning there.
That's so weird. Why is it the villains?
I don't know. A surprisingly reverent group of villains singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. So far in this whole special, the only Christmas songs we've actually heard, to your point, have all been these hymns, these religious hymns. And then Andrea sings Oh Holy Night. And
Oh Holy Night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth.
Then she's joined by two other characters I've never seen in real life at the park. I've never seen Brer Rabbit. And Thumper and Flower from Bambi.
Yeah. So they are animals, right? Like Thumper. So here's what's weird. Like Thumper comes out, right? And he's Thumper, and he's just a rabbit. Mm-hmm. And Brer Rabbit is there,
in clothes.
In clothes, exactly.
There's that layer, and then Thumper is holding what appears to be an actual baby black sheep? Or is it a goat? I think it's a sheep.
I could tell you who's holding a goat. Pluto. I wrote that in my notes. Pluto's holding a goat.
Pluto has a goat. Yeah. Pluto comes out, we pan out, and here's Donald Duck with his girlfriend Snow White. We see Mickey and Minnie. Donald's with Snow White.
Snow White.
Alice and the White Rabbit come out. See the three little pigs. Eeyore's in the back, and the seven dwarfs. Later, we see Tigger and Winnie the Pooh, and it's Honey Pot on his head, Pooh. Oh, I miss that Pooh.
And of course, we get to once again enjoy time with Geppetto.
Yes, our off-model Geppetto comes up to Andrea, and he's holding what looks like a ferret.
He's got a ferret.
For no reason. And he's singing, and Some Children See Him.
Some children see him lily white. The baby Jesus born this night. Some children see him lily white. With tresses soft and fair. Some children see him bronzed and brown. The Lord of heaven to earth come down.
The most specifically Jesus song. Alice is holding something that looks like a ferret too. What's going on with these animals?
And what's her face? Is it Andrea? Is that her
Yes.
name? Yeah. She keeps sort of petting the ferret.
Right. It's like,
that Geppetto's holding.
That's just her going, what am I going to do with a ferret?
Yeah, what do I do? Do you pet these?
Are ferrets Christmas animals?
They are now.
Sure. Then we get Joy to the World, followed by Andrea on her own singing Home from the Wiz.
From the Wiz.
Wow.
When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing.
We go from some children see him about different kids around the world seeing Jesus as their own race to white girl singing songs from the Wiz.
I can't believe it.
Now, I don't know if this is true, but I saw some information that said that this is the first TV Christmas special to feature a song from a Broadway musical.
I also saw that.
But I don't know if that means TV Christmas special, like, in total, or if that just means Disney TV Christmas special, but I thought that was worth noting. That
yeah, that was on the Disney Wiki, so I'm not sure. I read it as first Christmas special out of any Christmas specials that have ever existed.
Yeah.
And this one's got 2 if you count My Favorite Things from the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, this bit ends with Geppetto and a few of the other characters rejoining Andrea for Silent Night. And then the mimes come in and they start talking.
Oh, that's
Guys,
right.
what are you doing? You're mimes.
Gosh, they kind of sign us off in a way, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They come in as themselves in their peacoats and they send us off with the old...
And in that scene, like, I don't know, maybe this is, given its the timing and its close association following on the heels of the Star Wars Christmas special, maybe this sort of makes sense, but I feel like Yarnell looks like really stoned in this sequence.
Like, heavy on the eye makeup, like Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill at least had a car accident he could blame his on.
Yeah, there's a point in this delivery where, you know, Shields is being very earnest, and Yarnell's just kind of like, her eyes just like drift off, and they're gone for like a minute. She's like not there.
She's trying to figure out why Rare Rabbit wears clothes and Thumper doesn't.
Right. Oh dear.
You know, it's no coincidence that we're bringing you our Christmas greetings from Walt Disney World, because we grew up with the magic of Walt Disney and all the joy and fantasy that he stood for.
Performing for you in Walt Disney World has not only been a pleasure, but it's been an honor and a dream come true.
It's a good sign-off.
It is, and we get he's paraphrasing Walt now. When we wish upon a star, all our dreams, hopes, and wishes can come true. That's not even Walt Disney. That's 2 of his songwriters.
Thus begins the habitual practice of Disney attributing quotes to Walt Disney that are not actually Walt Disney quotes.
Pro tip, kids, if you can dream it, you can do it. Not a Walt Disney quote. You're talking about that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are many.
Yes,
I feel like there are so many famous, like, they're Disney quotes.
Right.
They're from Disney properties or things, but they often get misappropriated as Walt Disney quotes.
Yeah.
When in fact, you know, they were from, like Horizons, which was created 22 years after Walt Disney died.
But I like the last thing that we hear in this special before the end credits is Geppetto wistfully shouting, "Merry Christmas, Pinocchio!"
Yes, that's right.
Don't forget to go see Pinocchio, now in theater.
That's it. I didn't even make that connection. I thought it was just, I miss my son who's in America, even though I'm also now in America.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that was just luck that Avery was just like, you know, he was in
just
character.
going for it.
He's
Yeah.
method.
I can do this. Got the thick Italian and accent.
Yeah.
It was like Captain Lou's Mario.
Hey, why wasn't Pablo Cruise invited for that?
Hey, yeah. They're still on Discovery Island having the time of their lives.
What if they're still there?
They could be
today.
Yeah, it's in that video or those photos that one person.
All right, we gotta go look them up.
You can see them in the background.
I think that's the guy in the white, and there's the parrot. Then we get the credits over the Jerry Lawler chorus again, and I just want to say to Ms. Assistant to the producer Robin Westfall, who spells her name the St. Elsewhere way with a PH. Hey, girl. That's all right. It's not my fault at all. I screwed up our names.
And I noted that Avery Schreiber is credited as a writer in this.
Yeah, for ad-libbing.
I love his stuff.
Is it just the ad-libbing, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe he did.
Ad-libbing?
That explains the whole spanking
thing. It seems
thing.
to come from the heart.
Yeah. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. This is the theme park that had the Main Street Electrical Parade that has giant smoking cigars in the parade for children. Well, I think we hit everything. Any additional or final thoughts?
It's amazing to me that this exists, and I can't, I tried to imagine this kind of special being made today, and what are the current day proxies? Like, who's the Pablo Cruise of today that would appear in this kind of special? And obviously there isn't. They wouldn't make anything like this today.
No.
It's so fast and loose. There's so many rules broken in this special that I feel like, if this were presented to someone now as hey, we want to do this special, to be whoa. Slow down, first of all.
Even look.
Yeah, can you imagine Bob Iger watching the dailies for this?
Even watching the annual Christmas parade thing they do now at the parks, it's all just, it's at least 50% travel commercials for that. Where this is really, they don't shove it in your face. They just, it's the guy from Pablo Cruise just pointing. Just there, look at these
There's
two.
The contemporary right over there.
They're sailing.
Yeah. I guess it just speaks to how, Disney was not the sort of monolith that it is now. Mm-mm. In terms of really protective of how they present things, protective of how the parks are used and shown to the world, protective of who is shown in the parks. A Pablo Cruise would not be allowed to,
nope,
shill for Disney these days.
Those pants, they do not meet cast member requirements.
No, they don't.
Neither does the hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm aghast at it's such a, and I'm surprised they're not like Lucas with the Star Wars Christmas special and just trying to keep it under wraps. I had no idea they were, showing this on, what was it, Walt Disney, right?
Walt Disney, yeah. I don't remember when that stopped, but it was, Walt Disney was the thing for a long time, for many years. They would dig up these old specials and run them. And I have to assume, like we said earlier, that there has to be some of this legacy material that will show up on the streaming service. Otherwise, I mean, I feel like they're missing a whole segment of Disney audience, to exclude it. But and some of these specials have eventually wound up on DVD. They did a Walt Disney Treasures collection in around the early 2000s, where they would package some of these classic specials, including the Disneyland 10th anniversary special, as a DVD set. But this one has never, as far as I know, officially been released. and it comes from like a legacy. If I guess this would maybe be my like closing thought or parting thought was like, if you watch this for the first time and you are delighted by what you see, I heartily recommend this. This special is kind of bookended by two other absurd Disney World set specials. There's one called the Mickey Mouse Club at Walt Disney World, which was released right around the time that River Country opened. And it includes a sequence where the Mouseketeers of the late 70s go to River Country.
Oh, that's right. I'm 70s Mickey Mouse Club. I'm thinking, what, just Annette Funicello on the zip line?
Yeah, I don't even remember who is involved in the 70s Mickey Mouse Club, but they did go to River Country.
Hey, all right.
And then it's followed later in 1981 by Kraft Salutes the 10th anniversary of Walt Disney World.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that is my my farewell thought to you. If you're up late at night, you're waiting like Geppetto for Santa to deliver your letter from America, or
to hear from my boy.
Yeah,
my boy.
Sit down and treat yourself to those specials as well.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
Well,
I'm after we're done, I am pulling up both of those.
Well, if people want to chase you around Discovery Island with lust in their eyes, they can find you both at the Archive.
That's right.
It's in the show notes, friends. Go find it. But where else can they find you on the internet, Drew?
I'm on Instagram. That's what am I on Instagram? I'm
Go Pizza Nut.
Go Pizza Nut. That's Go Pizza NAUT. Yeah. That's all one word. And I post art there that I do. I'm also on Twitter. That might be Pizza Nut Go.
I think that's correct.
Yes.
It will be correct when I put it in the show notes.
Yes.
That's what's important.
Those are the best places to sort of see what I'm doing apart from the Archive itself.
And John?
You can find me retweeting photos of Phyllis Diller at John Dedeke, and periodically sharing photos from my most recent trips to Disneyland on Instagram at John Dedeke as well.
Well, thank you both for joining me on this wild ride. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yes, it was.
I feel like I've been building up to this for 15 years.
Yeah.
Drew and John will be back later this season for some more Disney magic, but for now, from down the road, from the most magical place on Earth, careful of the icy patch. The Advent Calendar House is part of the Christmas Podcast Network. To find more shows like this one, visit ChristmasPodcastNetwork.com.
You love Christmas, sure, but sometimes the same old traditions are too traditional. Sometimes you want to see Santa stuff a kid in his sack. Sometimes you want Christmas dinner to come alive and threaten you with knives and forks. Sometimes you just need Christmas to get a bit weird. Weird Christmas has you covered. Check out podcasts filled with annoying Christmas music, proof that Saint Nick came from magic mushrooms, and talk about Christmas specials so disturbing you won't sleep for days.
Now available on iTunes and SoundCloud.
WeirdChristmas.com. Oh, holy Mary, that's different.
Next time on the Advent Calendar House...